Hello and welcome. Today I'm very pleased to say that I'm joined by two experts and friends from the legal profession, David Posadas and Kirti Mirpuri. David and Kirti, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and your company, please?
Okay, you want me to start first? Well, thank you for having us. Kirti and I, we both work in a law firm called Montero Aramburu, Gómez Villares and Atencia. Lawyers is a very long name. I've been in the law firm before the merge and before a previous merge since 2001. That is when I came to this area, to Costa del Sol.
Can I ask you, what was it called then?
It was called Gómez Villares and Álvarez. Then it was merged to another law firm called Atencia. So it was the merge of two families of lawyers in the province of Malaga, especially in the Malaga, the capital of Malaga. And then in the last year, after 2 years of negotiations, we merged with another law firm that is called Montero Aramburu, and that's the result of the law firm that we are in today. Obviously, we grow by merging a larger firm. So now we are nearly 400 staff with offices in all Andalusia, but as well in Madrid and in the Canary Islands. So obviously we are pleased. Now we are working on a big boat. Okay.
Yeah. Just to give a little bit of context, I've been in Spain for 20 years and I've known David and the law firm Santiago Gómez as well for coming on to 2 decades, almost as long as I've been here. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you both, because there is a long track record, a long relationship there between our companies. And you've helped me understand about the legal side of the profession. I just want to get your views and your opinions of, what's it all about buying property in Spain, being a Spanish property investor, and the legal side of it. So thank you.
Yeah, before I let Kirti, I have to mention something about you.
Okay.
And it's, well, I know you, I think you came to Costa del Sol in 2008.
Before.
And I was quite impressed because you came really on the rough time. I was thinking, how can someone launch this business in the middle of the storm? And I was thinking, well, this guy's nuts. How can you? And it was funny because your words were that it was in difficult times, where your expertise will actually play or be an input for people. And I remember that the words, and it's true that we know each other for a long time. And well, I'm really pleased that you're doing really well.
I don't want to go into a love fest here, but I just want to say as well, I actually started in Fluent Finance in 2006, so just 2 years before. And if it wasn't for the assistance that and the guidance that I probably received from yourself, Santiago, and other people in the industry, it would have been a much harder thing for me to do. So I just want to say I appreciate the time that you spent with me, helping me with my clients and everything else. It was a massive help. And obviously now 15, 17 years later, we're still friends.
We are getting old.
And we are getting old.
That's a fact.
Just honestly, this is true. I had a perm before I met you, and now look, it's completely gone. So it was an interesting time. So first question then, really, but no, sorry, Kirti. Tell us a little bit about.
I think David has summarized the firm. I've been in the firm since 2015. I am part of the real estate department, really. And I also manage different matters regarding immigration, residencies, rentals. So it's an open book, really.
Yeah. And your English is fantastic.
Thank you. Yours too.
Thank you very much. I should hope it was. Okay, so let's crack on with it then. So how are Spanish property lawyers in Malaga or in Spain generally, how are they regulated? How do you become a property expert from a legal profession?
Okay, well, the legal profession is regulated by, obviously, we have a law society. there is one bar association per province, but then there are delegations. So in total, in Spain, I believe there is something like 80 different bar associations. So it's not like other jurisdictions where you have one bar association and regulate the whole jurisdiction. You have different bar association, but obviously the statutory law or the law that regulate that profession is applicable to all of them. So there are no differences on the regions. So the standards of practice is exactly the same for every single lawyer, wherever the lawyer is. There are no limitations on where to practice law. When you are a lawyer, for instance, in Catalonia, you can practice law in the rest of Spain. So there are no limitations. There are no like right of audience or similar things. It's the same for the whole Spanish territory. But something I think is important to mention in connection to the discussion that we are going to have is that some, in my experience, I'm going to always, and Kirti as well, we're going to talk about our experience with clients.
Yes.
Based on our experience with clients, some clients, depending on the regions, tend to think that it's compulsory to use a lawyer to purchase a property, to purchase or to sell, and it's not.
It's not.
We all know that there is a joke that we lawyers said about the Spanish people, because we always say that Spanish people normally go to a lawyer when they have a problem, and foreigners go to a lawyer to prevent the problem.
Yeah.
And that is a tradition. It's changing. Now it's changing. Spain is obviously becoming more modern, and then as well society is adapting to the new standards. So I think it's an important remark that it's not compulsory to use a lawyer, which is important, and this is where perhaps it could be a subject of a potential even discussion, is to create the image when a professional use the terms close to legal, law firm, obviously people that are handling your transaction must be a lawyer.
Yes.
Otherwise you are misrepresenting or you're misleading your client thinking that the person that is handling your transaction is a qualified lawyer, when in fact is maybe not.
From our day-to-day, we've come to realize that not everyone is a qualified practicing lawyer that are operating and calling themselves a lawyer. How is that? Is this true?
There are qualified lawyers practicing law, probably in Spain around 160,000.
You're obviously one of them.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Kirti as well. We have to. If you work in our law firm, even if you don't go to court, if you don't attend court hearings or being involved in litigation, is one of our policies in our law firm that you need to be a lawyer practicing law. There are many reasons, not just the credibility, but as well in terms of indemnity insurance, the law society. If you are a practicing lawyer, behind your payment that you every time you do to the law society, there is an insurance, a professional insurance. But it's just a matter of standards. You need to although you don't attend court procedures, we always require our lawyers to be lawyers registered in a law society, in any of the bar associations, but as well to be to pay every year whichever amount we have to pay to the bar association.
So so there is a register that you have to subscribe to, and that register is there so that you can actually call yourself a practicing lawyer.
Exactly, and as well that information is open. It's public.
It's public.
Yeah.
So you can make the inquiry. Obviously, if a potential client is searching for a potential lawyer to be used, and that lawyer is claiming to be a qualified lawyer, probably one of the things I will advise to someone is double check.
Yeah, and we'll put a link in below the video to the register where you can check. Again, this is why it's important. So sometimes we have conflict with when it comes down to organizing notary or something like that, and it shouldn't really. We should all work as a unit, as a team. But generally, when we have conflict with people who are doing the conveyancing side, I've checked on the public register and I couldn't find their names. Why? So what does that tell me?
There is let me mention something just before to speak highly about our colleagues in the working in the profession in
Yep.
Costa del Sol.
Please.
The level of professionalism, the really high standards. There are many law firms that are, and it's amazing because you notice that when you start dealing with a lawyer that comes from a different region, then you realize the standard. Some lawyers look into our profession. No, I'm not going to say with disrespect. That's not but they think like we are second league lawyers because we don't go to court, and they think that anyone can actually be involved in a real estate transactions, and that's when they realize the level of complexity that required to do our job properly.
Yeah.
And so I have so much respect for our colleagues in our region, in our area. But it's true that something that I noticed from when I came here in 2001 is that because of the rich culture of different nationalities in our area, that it was a magnet, an attraction for foreign lawyers to move to Costa del Sol because it was a niche for a business. And that's how barristers came, a barrister, solicitors, and then whatever you call it in German, and then Norwegians. And so many different lawyers from different jurisdictions came and opened offices here. And I always was kind of surprised to know that a British person, an English or Scottish person will come to Costa del Sol and to engage the services of an advocate or a barrister or a solicitor just because of the qualification, but not looking to the jurisdiction where they're going to practice law, which is a kind of paradox.
And they're allowed to do that, though. This is
Because
what I don't understand.
on property transactions, you don't require to be a lawyer to do those transactions. But we are now entering into a very thin line on whether someone could even commit a criminal offense. That is to pretend that you have a title that you don't have.
Right.
Okay, that happens sometimes in some other professions, in dentists, in plastic surgeon. It happened. They claim to say that they have a qualification, and then when you realize they are doctors, but they are doctors qualified in a different school. Obviously, with lawyers, it's the same. So very much will depend on how they sell their services, how they portray themselves as being lawyers. You have to be very careful. I always said to other colleagues, be careful when you use the word solicitor. A solicitor, for me, means that I'm registered in England, in the Law Society in England. Otherwise, I wouldn't use the term solicitor.
Okay.
I would use lawyer, because lawyer is neutral.
Yes.
Or abogado. Okay? But you refer to specific terms. So Costa del Sol, in that sense, it's true that we have lots of examples of very exotic nationalities.
Yeah, I've come across it, and that's why I wanted. It's a topic that within our office we discuss it a lot, because we do a lot with lawyers. Okay, I would concur 100% that the majority of lawyers are absolutely fantastic at what they do, but when there are foreign investors, they will naturally gravitate to someone who they can communicate with, and that person may or may not be at the level that you guys are. And if anyone is watching and worried about the quality of the legal advice being given, then I think it's a good idea to check and the register to see if you're engaging with someone who is responsible for the advice that they give. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. It was
Absolute
a pleasure.
pleasure.
Thank you, Mark.
Gracias, David.
Nada.
See you soon.